Welcome to season 2 of our groundbreaking TV magazine show, Global Connections. What is Global Connections all about? Global Connections is all about Namibia's relationships with the global community. This week we are at Team Namibia for our segment of culture and tourism. My name is Elizabeth Mbambi and here are our Global Connections. It is Global Connections, and this week we are at Team Namibia. Sitting here with me is Mr. Sydney and Ms. Mali. They're going to tell us more about the role of Team Namibia and how Team Namibia also shaped the future of Namibia. How are you?
Very well, thanks Elizabeth.
Very well, thank you so much.
And a prosperous new year. Since we are in January.
Compliments. Can you introduce yourself and your role in Team Namibia?
Yes, certainly. My name is Sydney Einstein. I'm the chairperson of the board of Team Namibia. I've been involved with Team Namibia for the past probably 5 to 7 years. And my role is also executive director, if you can put it that way, because we have a very streamlined team at the moment. Very small team, so the board also voluntarily do their part in Team Namibia.
Okay, well, I'm Mary Hamunjebo. I'm the Public Relations and Corporate Communications Officer at Team Namibia.
Thank you. So, how was Team Namibia established and what is Team Namibia's mission? How did Team Namibia just exist? What was it all about? Who came up with the idea? What is the idea behind Team Namibia?
All right. So we can't take credit for what people have done before us, but let me try to put myself in their shoes, because Team Namibia's vision today is still the same and we still have the same objectives. It's really to bring Namibian role players together, because you find in government there are strategic role players, as well as in the private sector, NGOs, non-profit organizations, all acquiring and going for the same objective. And that is basically to make Namibia economically sustainable. And our efforts really make little impact if we do it all by ourselves. It's like raindrops that fall here and there and here and there, but it doesn't really make an impact. But once it comes together and you have a flow and you have a river running, that's when you start making impact. And Team Namibia wants to be that river, to bring all these drops together. So some of the organizations that were key in the forming of Team Namibia was the NCCI, Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and then also the Namibia Manufacturers Association. And some of the funding organizations were FNB, Bank Windhoek, NAMDEP, Old and List, MTC Telecom. So these were all organizations that were part of Team Namibia's initiation, playing quite an important and critical role in the bringing together of the concept. Not all of them are that active anymore, but that was the real idea behind it at the beginning.
Really interesting. Mali, for how long have Team Namibia been existing?
So it was founded in 2003. So it has been long.
2003.
The adults now.
It's not just a small.
It's not a small child.
They are not infants. They are adults now.
Currently graduating.
But 2003 is a long time. It's really a long time. When do you think people started getting to know Team Namibia, and were there any? Do you guys have an idea if there were any struggles when you started building Team Namibia, or when Team Namibia was introduced? How did people receive Team Namibia?
So I can maybe say from the other side. as a receiver, or let me say as a general public member, because at the time I was also much younger. You're talking about 20 years ago.
Yes.
And I saw my first experience with Team Namibia is in shops, in retailers. I saw Team Namibia boards, Team Namibia sections, some encouragements done by Team Namibia for consumers to buy local. And that's actually my first experience with Team Namibia. So I believe the general public eye caught Team Namibia's activities. Also, television advertisements and other advertisements on the radio and so on. So Team Namibia, I think, with the kind of sponsors they had at that time and the financial backing, made quite an impact back then, to introduce themselves to the Namibian public and community in large. Because I was a general receiver of it, I'm talking from that perspective. But then I believe over the years, and as things go, things kind of become routine and take a little bit of a downstream and so on. But luckily with the introduction of new board members, new chairpersons and so on, you have a revival, and newness in the whole concept. So I believe that since the board that is currently acting took over post-COVID, especially, we made quite an impact and a change and an uplifting in the objectives and goals and visions of Team Namibia.
Every institution, every company has to go through that. That's part of growth.
Yeah, especially those teenage years, right?
Yeah, it's not easy. And speaking of, you mentioned COVID-19.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of businesses were affected by COVID-19. But then I think after COVID-19, they took off, especially in the tourism industry. I have one question. How does Team Namibia foster global connections for Namibian businesses? Especially if we have to look at COVID-19, after COVID-19.
Yeah. So if we talk about global connections, we basically can divide the Namibian market into two groups. Okay, so the one group, I believe, are those that had the connections before and after, that export on a regular basis. And I'm talking about the known industries like meat, minerals, mining industry, those kind of items. There are others, obviously, also. Maybe we can also throw me in there, but those are the ones that are used to international connections and international exporting and so on. Then there's the other group, which Team Namibia is more interested in, and that's the rest, the majority, who produce locally for the local market, who provide services for the local market, and manufacture for the local market. So our focus is not at this stage as much to create connections for them on the outside, but really to create something to export. And to create something to export, you must first have a flow locally. And to have a flow locally, one has to look at things like standards. And that's why Team Namibia has been quite involved with the NQP this year and previous year, the Namibia Quality Policy, which is under it the Namibia Standardization Strategy. So Team Namibia plays a very, very vital role in the standardization strategy, because we are part of the committee setting up this document. We had stakeholder consultations towards the end of last year, speaking to different stakeholders across the country, to understand what are the standard requirements and to create this standard document for Namibia, which we actually far behind if you look at our neighboring companies like Zambia, Kenya, not so close neighboring, but also neighboring South Africa, obviously much closer, and so on. So they have these documents in place, standardization strategy. And we are really working hard towards that. And also once this is established, you start creating a local market. There is a flow of goods. And once this now starts getting satisfied, not necessarily to wait until it's satisfied, but once there is activity and something going on, now you need to realize, or you start realizing the need that some of these goods can now start going out. So we are really focused more on the other side to create a product, to create services, to create goods that are at a level to be exported.
So in other words, you want to empower them to be ready to go out.
Yeah, that's our main focus at the moment.
That is great. How does Team Namibia facilitate cultural exchange?
So when it comes to cultural exchange, I believe Team Namibia plays a role, probably not such a big role, but one of the things I can mention, and maybe Melly can also come in here, is when it comes to culture, we've got various cultures in Namibia. One of the things cultures are most likely, possibly more able to exchange are things like food. Traditions are not quite exchangeable between cultures because each culture is it. But Namibian people are curious in general, so they want to know, what are you guys eating? What are you guys doing? Activities, fun and so on. But when it comes to producers of food and so on, that's probably one area where we can come in, because people need to trust whatever they eat.
Yeah.
So many times we've got so many traditional foods that are good food. If you go to people's houses, whether it's in the north or in the south, you eat the traditional food and it's good. But how do you market it? You can only market it if it's trusted by other cultures. And if there's a standardization strategy, or there are standards in place, and standards can be introduced as to how do you prepare this meal that it is meeting the required standards and can be put onto a shelf in a shop. That's one way we can get involved in cultural exchange. Maybe Melly, you've got some ideas probably.
I remember, because I know you mentioned it earlier, I also remember when Team Namibia started. Not in 2003 though, I don't remember 2003, but I think towards 2013, 2014, I remember you would find maybe traditional cookies with Team Namibia's logo or label there, but you can see that it's from somebody else, but Team Namibia is part of that, or just a traditional drink and Team Namibia's label is also there. So it makes so much sense what you're explaining.
That's a great observation.
Yes.
Because you see, once the product is standardized, some of the products that is the Team Namibia logo from our members are not necessarily standardized using the national standards, but they went through the necessary laboratory testing and so on, to actually put a stamp on it from our side to say that, okay, but if you have your laboratory test and it says it's healthy and it's good, you can put the Team Namibia logo on your product, and so on, and that makes it.
It really made a difference. It really made a difference. I know people would as long as I'm part of Team Namibia, I think I'm good to go.
Yes.
Yeah, people will take me serious, or people will take my product serious. In what ways does understanding and respecting different cultures contribute to successful international business relationships?
Okay, so as I mentioned previously, we must first understand each other's cultures, what we do, what we eat, how we go about in our relationships and so on. So once we understand this, and we can start creating the trust amongst each other, I think that goes a big way, or how can I say, it actually covers a lot of ground when we come to relating internationally. If people if our international counterparts see that we as a country and different cultures, different groups amongst each other understand each other and we know how to work together, it also gives that political stability and those kind of things where you know, okay, but there's not going to there's not going to be some kind of what you call the internal wars again amongst cultures. Sorry, the word just slipped my mind.
Is it what do you call it? Conflict?
Yeah, there's not going to be cultural conflict
Yeah.
and things like that because people understand each other.
Yes.
And any investor wants a safe place for their investment. So if we can identify each other's strengths, because you know in our different cultures, I believe there are so many outstanding values and qualities. And once you understand the strength of each culture, and if we as Namibians can understand the strength of each culture, we can start focusing on the strength and not the weakness of the culture, because there are many weaknesses also. Okay, so I come from different backgrounds. Unfortunately, I'm a mixed breed.
Yeah, no,
But even for someone like me, you know, I can easily identify the strengths of the cultures which I come from and the weaknesses, obviously. And sometimes I make a joke and I tell people, sometimes these cultures fight inside of me. You know?
They all want to come out.
Yeah. So, for example, just to make a quick example here, I made a few points here. Like some of our cultures, we've got a hard-working people in Namibia, not necessarily strategically involved, but they want to get the job done. It's a group, one of the groups, without mentioning names. Another is serving people, you know, and once you have their trust and you understand their culture, they will serve you and they will go far with you. You know, that's another group. We've got also very proud people, and maybe, as I say this, our Namibian public out there can identify which cultures I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Proud people they take things, they want to do the things the right way. If they can't do it the right way, mostly their way, then they don't want to do it, you know. And then we've got the people that are very hospitable in our Namibian cultures, another group that are friendly, warm, welcoming, and you know, the kind of people that visitors would be attracted to very easily. They would welcome you in your home and trust in their homes and trust you. So we've also have a people of solidarity. They always stand together, and regardless of what, they stand together as a group, specific group in this Namibian. You know, once another group comes from outside, they would stand together, and whether you are executive or cleaner, it's there like one.
Yep.
So and so we can go on and on identifying the strengths in different cultures. And I believe Team Namibia, you know, our role really in this is once we start bringing people together, you know, it's also important that we create that flow of cultural connectivity and focusing our strengths rather than our weaknesses.
In what ways does Team Namibia contribute to the economic development in Namibia?
So Team Namibia contribute to Namibia's economy by supporting local businesses and enhancing sustainable economic practices, and also enhancing competitiveness. So also at the same time, Team Namibia is also part of various campaigns that speak very well for themselves. We have the Buy Local Grow Namibia campaign, and then we also have the My Namibia, My Pride campaign, and then we also have the Travel Local campaign. So those campaigns are just three of the very more campaigns that Team Namibia is part of. So yes.
Yeah, so not all of them were initiated by Team Namibia, but we play an important role in basically filling in these campaigns.
Okay, the Team Namibia was part of the Travel Local campaign during the festive season. What was the competition all about, and what did you hope to achieve with the competition?
Okay, so the Travel Local campaign was a domestic online campaign that mainly inspired Namibians to travel local. The first step was for them to travel local this festive season, which was now during December. But the campaign will continue and make it a campaign whereby we're encouraging Namibians to travel or to choose Namibia as their preferred destination. Definitely.
The other question that I have, how important is tourism in Namibia?
Well, tourism plays a vital role in Namibia. We all know it's one of our main income streams, and it creates jobs for Namibians, countless Namibians, because of lodges that tourists come to, some exclusive lodges, but they've got Namibian people working there. So it creates those work opportunities, development for Namibians, because I've been at a very exclusive lodge recently. I could only afford it because it's one of our clients. Okay. But when I saw the quality and basically the value of service provided to us by Namibians, I felt like, wow, I didn't know that as Namibian people we can offer a service at this level, because it mainly focuses on international clients, so the standards is really high, and it's our own people, so it creates that. Han is a member of Team Namibia, the Hospitality Association of Namibia. Yeah, thank you for filling in there. And through Han, basically all the Han members enjoy the Team Namibia benefits. And then also when we do campaigns like this, they voluntarily and very eagerly join in these campaigns, to be part of it. So tourism, vital, critical. I believe there are things that we as Namibians can improve. It's like creating the same awareness of value these tourists have for the Namibian community, for us as Namibians. How can you go rob somebody that brings money into the country? And how can you be rude to somebody that comes into our country very excited to explore this country? So Team Namibia has not really gone into that scope or looked into that aspect of how can we fix things like this. But it's definitely an avenue to pursue, to be involved with our counterparts, which is Han, and then also the Namibia Tourism Board. They are strategic partners, the Tourism Board of Team Namibia. So maybe through them we can think of campaigns to create this awareness, the value of the tourist to us as Namibians.
If you can just touch on the collaborations and partnership just a little bit more in detail, the partnerships which Team Namibia has, and then the collaborations and so forth.
Yeah, so I think one of our key partnerships is with the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, because it's like the economic hot seat of the country. So under MIT falls various sectors that we are definitely partnering with, like the Namibia Trade Forum. We are a part of the Trade Forum. Then also the Namibia Standards Institution, NSI. We're playing a very critical role in being part of that organization. Then we've got obviously various other partnerships, all these partners that are strategically going for the same objective. So at the moment we are basically hooking up with all of them, with the idea that one day, very soon, I hope we will have the strength to start pulling them together. So
and I wanted to find out, do you have any final remarks? Anything that you would like to say to the viewers, the audience?
You see, I want to also encourage our business people that we should set for ourselves international goals. Even though it's completely out of reach at the moment, let's set those goals, let's think big. And then we come back to where we are at and work towards those goals of exporting and making international connections.
And I think this is one thing that I really do appreciate about Team Namibia is the way Team Namibia support local businesses, number one, and the way Team Namibia wants people to come together. And I think you really live for your name, Team Namibia. It was really nice having you, Mr. Sydney, Mali. It was an awesome discussion.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
What a fruitful conversation we had with Team Namibia. My name is Elizabeth Mbambi, and this is our Global Connections.